What is up, all my dorks, nerds, geeks, and gamers? It's your host Ghost here, and I'm joined with.
Nike Y43.
Welcome to the Smash Soapbox podcast, and today we are talking about first-party studios, the big three, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, the three giants, the legends, the pillar of the gaming industries in some people's eyes, um, and what first-party games they have planned for us going forward into 2021, if not 2021, 2022, and beyond that. Let's start off very simply. We know that Microsoft, first and foremost, is coming out with Halo Infinite. This is actually Halo, what, 6? Or is it 7?
I'm trying to look it up. What'd you say it was? Halo what?
Infinite. But like I'm thinking number-wise, which one it was. Because I know they all had all the way up to 5. 5 was the last one I remember. So I think it would be 6.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So this would be the end of the second Halo trilogy.
It's the sixth main entry of the Halo series and the 14th Halo game overall.
Yes.
So yeah, it's the sixth.
Okay, so that makes sense. And then on top of that, they have that game facing off against Sony's first party God of War Ragnarok as the working title, which I think is an awesome working title. It makes perfect sense. That would be the direction they go in.
I think just right now, hands down, Sony takes that battle. God of War blows Halo out of the water.
I think it does at a story level. It does,
But
maybe at
if
a technical level.
but if Halo gets the multiplayer correct,
Right, the multiplayer is the big factor, and the open world. If
yeah,
they can pull off that RPG open world element within that Halo universe, I think that they could have a hit on their hands. I really do. Because I think that was one of the things missing from Destiny 1 and 2 was that connective tissue that like the fans could connect to and say, "Oh, I know that franchise." Like, you know what I mean? Like Master Chief is something that everyone knows as a gamer, and they can connect to that part of him. So that's the thing Destiny was kind of missing. They didn't have that Master Chief connection.
Destiny was flat. Like it was flat, and it was just you could tell they can totally, tore apart the game, and then
Right.
gave us chunks of it for DLC, which was BS.
I agree with that. And then they did it at the last minute too, and I think that was a lot of Activision's
Yeah, because
call on that.
I mean, I hung on through that first, couple rough years of Destiny.
You were an avid Destiny 1 and 2 player when they both came out.
It's a simple fact. I was in love with the raids and the teamwork because the nights that you would, you know, it'd be 3 to 6 hours doing raids.
Yeah.
And so we'd be up all night. But dude, the memories I'll always cherish them because they are hilarious.
Oh, good times, man. Good times in Destiny.
Which
When do
that was the one cool thing I loved about Destiny 2 is when you were loading in. I think it was after you chose your character, like who you wanted to be.
hmm
There was a warlock, a titan, or
the different classes
was it a hunter? I think it
yes.
was. But while your character was like loading in or whatever, it was going through your past and it was showing you the date and everyone that you're with the raids and like major events that happened throughout Destiny One.
Oh,
They
like
would they
party stuff like
yeah
that.
they had like stamped them for you and put them in a cool tribute video, and I thought that
Oh,
was the
that's cool.
coolest thing because I was like,
They
because
did
I
that what
saw
every
yeah
time
because I
or
like I saw names and I was like, oh my god, I haven't played with that dude in like a year. I was like the last thing I remember, and it showed you. I was like, and it showed you like the first time you completed the raid, and I was like, oh, this is sick.
nice.
It, and our friend Pudgy was in like all of them,
Every
so
single
like basically.
So well, speaking of Destiny, now that we are at a next gen level, we are at a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X or S. Do you see a Destiny 3 coming relatively soon, if not in the next 5 years?
I wouldn't necessarily maybe do a Destiny 3, but maybe do an overhaul, a reboot of the game. I know it's what's being done a lot of, but this really needs it because Destiny just sucked.
Right.
I mean, it just sucked all the way around. Destiny 2 had its moments, and it sucked also, but they need something. So just give it a soft reboot. Do like a
And that
Destiny.
would be easy for them to do because they could do a prequel to kind of explain all the lore because they did a terrible job at explaining it anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe they do Destiny and the dawn of dark times, or whatever, and it shows you like the fall of the city.
like how it
You
all
know,
started.
yeah, because all you get is when you're in Destiny is the hub is the lost city, and
Yes.
then you
Yeah.
got like the one in the outer rims or whatever, like the
And then
citadel.
Destiny 1, you had those cards you had to read online to get the lore and all that
Oh
crap.
yeah, like you would find random stuff, and if you had that app,
Glimmer cards, or what were they? Something like that. Yep.
yeah, something like that. I think I had the app. Like I was, like I had, we were in a clan called Team Armadillo. I mean,
Yep. Team Armadillo. I remember that. Yep. Man, we use that for everything, all the way from COD to every game.
COD Ghost was the first time we ever used it because I
Yep.
think I think it was like me and you and like a bunch of other friends, and we are sitting there, and I'm like, you know what, no, dude, we're fucking Team Armadillo.
Yep.
That's what we are.
Team Armadillo. That's how
Basically
we
used
roll,
it
man.
for everything.
Um, so let's get to, well, like I was saying about Halo Infinite, if they get um that RPG element correct with side missions and character interactions and stuff like that, if they can build a living, breathing world that you can explore.
Basically, if you could build a sci-fi version of Skyrim
Yes,
with next
with
gen
with
like
Halo
graphics
gameplay.
and Halo gameplay, I mean that could bring Microsoft games back to Sony games level.
It could,
Because
it could.
in that industry, Sony's exclusives are just knocking it out of the park.
Right,
Some have slumped, but some have risen too. So, but Microsoft, it just doesn't seem like they've plateaued. It just seems like they've flatlined.
right. Well, the thing is, with Halo, it works so well in an open world environment because the vehicles are already there. You already have your warthogs, you have your ghosts,
Yeah,
you already have your flying cars and your big tanks and everything you want is already baked into the franchise that all you have to do is redesign them and drop them in that environment and you can have a lot of
yeah,
fun
and
just
yeah,
finding
all I
things
would
on
do
your own.
is I would try to put together some of the most creative minds you could find for story wise and characters, and
Yeah,
really bring your universe to life because that's what everyone's doing now. They're doing it in all sorts of media. In games, in movies. The MCU.
right. Yes.
And now they've spilled into the games where they're doing it. With Marvel Spider-Man, the Avengers. They're starting to.
All
I
this
mean,
connective tissue,
yep.
building a grander
Mortal
story.
Mortal Kombat has this huge universe that is
That
amazing.
started like back in the
Yeah,
PS3 games, and then now
yeah.
we're in this one.
So I think this could be the jump start for that. Halo can really start digging into their lore, their background.
I agree with that, and I just think that it had a bad showing when they first showed it. Not because it's going to be a bad game. I think it was just shown a little too early. Like I think the concept's there, and I think 343 has shown they can do a Halo game. They made two
Yeah,
already, so they can make a Halo game, and it can be beautiful. I think they were just pressured to show something they weren't quite ready to show yet,
yeah,
um, and that's what happened. But I do think it'll be can be good, if not great to amazing, if given the right love.
yeah,
So moving on to God of War Ragnarok. After playing God of War, it's not a reboot because it is a continuation of the story, um, and everything going on there. Um, I can already see. I already know. I already have 100% faith that Cory Barlog is gonna deal another 10 out of 10 game
yeah,
because he's already what he's done is with the first game he's whet our appetite, but he's left enough crumbs in there to make you already kind of know what direction they're going to go in for the sequel. If not that, kind of give you a hint of what's to come next. For example, when you go to the tree of knowledge or whatever to time travel and go to different lands, such as all the nine realms, you can only go to about four of the realms, and the other ones are there, but you just can't get to them. So they're already baked into the game system. They could have been DLC if they wanted to. But what they're going to do is just use the same system and implement them into the sequel, which I think is like awesome. That's a perfect breadcrumb to leaving the game for people to be like, oh, I could see them. I want to go there so bad, but I can't. And then the sequel comes, and then you can. That's going to be such a big payoff for story wise, character wise, all that stuff. It's going to be awesome. The thing that
Yeah.
has me like, a little bit confused though is everyone is thinking that this is going to be called God of War Ragnarok, and I'm just sitting here thinking, well, Ragnarok implies the end of Norse mythology. I don't think they want to end it on the second game. I think
No.
they're going to go for a third, just like
Yeah.
in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So why
Just
not
like
save?
even like with their prequel game, like their PSP games with like
Yeah,
Ghost of Sparta, like that was even a trilogy in its little self. So
right.
yeah, I'm with you on that. They're gonna pull off a trilogy.
That's what I'm
I just
saying.
I just wanted to add more a little bit more depth and variety of bosses and
Yeah.
minor bosses because when you took on that one dude like just different variants throughout the whole
Yes.
game,
Yeah.
I was like, come on, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I
But
mean,
that was a
I
good
mean,
fight
but
though.
but the ones that they did add that were different, I mean, they were
Yes.
they were pretty
Awesome.
sweet. I was like, this is God of War.
And there's actually a lot of that stuff, a lot of cool things in God of War that are hidden that like you probably never even seen. Like there's three dragons you can find in free that like are huge. Like they're huge real dragons. And I'm thinking like like when you're freeing them, you're like in these caverns, you're crawling around. They're like breathing fire and you're like crawling around like it's nuts. Like it's
Dude,
crazy.
I'm
Then you
gonna look this up on YouTube afterwards.
like these dragons are cool. But
God of War dragons. We're gonna put that.
but then like I'm thinking like could these play in the story? And then I watched an interview with Corey Barlog and he was thinking the same thing. He's like, well, maybe these side quests that you don't think mean anything could mean something much bigger in the next game. And I'm like, I
So
like
carried
that.
over like Mass Effect style.
Yes, I'm like, I really like that. That's awesome, especially for a God of War story.
Yeah.
Um,
Which hints that he's building a universe now because he's already got his Greek mythology in there
yeah,
now. He's
he's already
building
slayed
Norse.
the Greek mythology, and
So
he's
he
already,
so
yep,
he's built his universe for God of War, which is hint back to him.
yeah,
You got to start building a platform. I think they really did it with the God of War that came out. The new one.
yeah, they did.
And when they first came in, I was like, oh, okay, they're going a whole like it was staying within the same kind of mythology, but it went
Hmm.
a whole different direction. I was
It
like,
went more emotional for Kratos and less rage and anger for Kratos.
vengeance, yeah.
Yes, it was more. He was more of a mentor and less of a student. Because in the original God of Wars, he was kind of the student. He was the human. He had no
Yeah.
idea what was going on. He was just there to kill whatever's in his way. And then here, he kind of has the knowledge and the understanding of everything. And he's like, it's time for me to start passing this on. But
Yeah.
I love, and that's what worried me about when they announced the God of War. Everyone calls it a remake. It's not a remake, but God of War 2018. When that was announced, everyone was like, it's a remake. It's like it's erasing God of War. It's not the same Kratos, this and that. But what
No,
I
there was hints.
loved,
I mean, there was hints to the game, and you played it that hints to his
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Greek
Well,
days.
it's 100% confirmed because
Yeah.
like he goes to he gets the Blades of Chaos. Athena's there, and she messes with him because she would still be attached to the blades. On top of that, Atreus has Zeus's powers, and they confirm it. He's like, my dad was Zeus. He's like, you're a god. Like that's why you have electricity around you. On top of that, the big spoilers, Loki reveal. So that ties into that as well. So I'm like, everything is so well baked in that I'm just whatever adventure they want to take uh, Kratos and Atreus on, I'm down, 100% down with it. Any games you're looking forward to in the next consoles or
Oh, dude, the next Spider-Man game, bro, hands down.
Spider-Man 2?
Dude, I hands down. I'm so excited for that
The
game.
thing that has me intrigued about that is, do you think it's going to be set in New York or do you think we're going somewhere else? because
I,
this would be the third game in New York.
well, that's the most exciting thing is they could go wherever they want to right now.
Right.
Like if they want to set up something bigger, dude, they could go with like a kind of what was that, Secret Wars.
Oh, dude, that would be too big. That would be nuts.
Well, that's the thing. Is it would be so big, but Spider-Man's the perfect person to launch it.
To have the
And
perspective
it would be
story.
him, and it would be him and Miles. So you're using two characters to carry that
Yeah.
load, and you could use them basically. They're they're your Robert Downey Jr. of '08 with Iron Man. He
Yeah.
launched the MCU. No one denies that. This is what you do with Spider-Man 2. You launch your gaming universe into what then you can go all the places that because there, I mean, movies still have its limits somehow, but the gaming, you could go wherever you want and do whatever you
Right.
want. And do
Truth that is.
that excites me so much because you mentioned something like imagine like a Guardians game came out where it was like open
I
universe.
know, dude. I always think about that.
And
Like,
you could, like, how Sea of Thieves was? Like, it'd be that, but, more, like, there'd be more to it.
see, I just picture when I picture a Guardians game, bro, I think of a third person style, beat 'em up like Batman style, okay? But it's four-player co-op at the same time, each person playing a Guardian,
So,
but
like, Ultimate Alliance.
they have like team up moves like Ultimate Alliance though, where you can like
Yeah,
team up
yeah.
and have like bonuses and stuff, and they could all crisscross and all that. Oh man, some of the bosses, the
Dude,
Kree, and
this is why we need to make games.
I know, man. That's what I'm saying. Uh, but yes, that looks that'll be a fun one.
Like, that's what I'm just saying. That's what I'm most excited for. Because if, like, they're to do that approach, it would be an iconic moment in games.
It would
Where
be.
it,
See, I think they're gonna go. I think personally, though, I think they're gonna go with a darker approach. Just because we have Kurt Connors just got revealed to be one of the baddies in it now. We just got Harry Osborn with Venom, which is like the biggest twist. Like,
yeah, because I don't think it's ever been done. Like, maybe in a different comic variant
yeah,
somewhere.
but I've
Like, as
never,
far as I
yeah,
know, like, I think I'm not like a super
deep,
into
yeah,
deep.
like
Like,
every issue.
I'm like 50 feet below the glacier.
Right.
That's
I
right.
know the main lore. Like I know Spider-Man, the main
Yeah,
lore, who his character is, what he would do, and that's it.
and
Like,
but I like know the different universes and stuff.
yes, there's
How
different
everyone
stories in
transpired.
everyone.
But now, like Harry, taking over Venom, the way it was set up, I was like, okay,
Yeah, with yeah,
this
dude.
is insane.
And the way they set it, well, yeah, like you said, the way they set it up with like finding out like he was on a summer vacation or whatever, like he was lying to him and he was actually
Yeah,
sick or whatever, and like who knows, man? Maybe like he's not even sick. Maybe it was actually
yeah, because you
Norman who
hear,
made him sick.
yeah,
Like crazy stuff like that. Like it's gonna be nuts. And then the lizard's involved now. And see, that makes sense to me now. That makes sense why Harry would get rid of the Venom, because Kurt would make the lizard formula, which would turn him into a lizard, but he would give it to Harry and it would cure Harry. Venom would leave. Venom finds Eddie Brock or Spider Man. I think it's
yeah.
going to be Spider Man because I think we're going to get Black Spider Man through this game for the most part. And then
Oh, that'd be insane.
I think it's going to be symbiote Spider Man and a switch between him and Miles. And you can swap characters at any time. And they both have their own story going on at the same time.
See the dark transformation of the
Yeah.
Black City taking over. That'd be insane,
And that's
dude.
why I'm thinking I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be an early call, guys, for Spider-Man 2. But this is like early. The game's not even probably this far in development, but they probably don't even know the story. But I'm gonna say that the game ends, in my opinion, I think maybe as a fan, with Black Symbiote Spider-Man fighting Miles, and Miles having to beat Peter down like he did Doc Ock. And then that's
Oh
gonna start
yeah.
Spider-Man 3 with a broken Peter, and that has to redeem himself.
Where she has that flashback, that one comic where he throws the Spider-Man outfit in the
Yep.
trash. Kind of type feel like that.
Yep.
That'd be the
That's just an
second.
early call for the second game because I mean they have to make a third one, so they can't kill anyone. But that's a good emotional draw that they could pull off of. But first, they have to do all that other stuff I said first with Kurt Connors making the formula, big chase scene with Miles finding Kurt or something, and like, oh, it'd be nuts in the sewers and like crazy lizard fight. I
Yeah,
don't.
dude.
That's the other thing is I don't think we'll get Venom until the third one. That's why the symbiote will leave Peter, find Eddie. Something will happen with Eddie
Dude,
Brock in the second one.
they could even introduce a Carnage that would.
Yeah,
Oh,
and that'll be the third game as well. I think the third game will be all about symbiote. It'll be to
oh,
Peter, and see that'll give Peter a reason to hate the symbiote, to want to fight all the symbiotes, because it'll drive him so bad that he has to fight Miles, and then it'll be Peter and Miles versus all the symbiotes, and maybe Gwen if they add in another spider
yeah.
person.
Or maybe if they introduce an Eddie Brock and
Yeah,
have
Venom
that going on. Because like I know in that one Disney, I think it was that one Disney Spider-Man. They had
cartoon.
the
Yeah,
variant where Harry would had the symbiote, or no, he was Green Goblin. That's right.
yeah, yeah. I think there was one in the show where he did have the symbiote for a little bit in high school or whatever. In the
So
Marvel Spider-Man.
I'm thinking there was,
Yeah, I believe there was. All
but
right,
like,
guys. Oh, yep. Continue.
but no, I'm excited with that. And then I think if I had to go on the Microsoft side, it'd be Gears hands down because
Gears.
I love Gears.
See, I was
Like
into
I'm not
Gears,
like
but
I'm
I'm
not a
not into
huge.
Gears 4 and 5. I just was not a big fan.
I mean, they lacked in a lot of areas. They were short.
Yep.
They were short, but they lacked in some areas. But I mean, they did build in some good areas. I like
Yeah.
this new chick that they have. I'm hoping they go into a really good depth to it. Yeah.
Well, what I don't get is like they were getting praised. They were like, "Oh, they made some areas open world or whatever with this the snow thing, and you can like explore a little bit." And I'm like, "There's nothing to explore. There's like it's literally empty area after empty area after empty area, and every now and then you run into a short horde that you have to kill, and then you're back into the emptiness of the white snow, just nothingness." And it's like a 2 hour level of just trying to find where to go. And I was like, these are the little things that like I used to love Gears, but now these are the things that are like,
They're messing them up. It's like, come on.
they need to fix it, man. And I understand it's a new studio. It's not the same creative directors, not the same, nothing really, all brand new. Only thing same is the money coming in, which is from Microsoft. So,
Yeah.
but we also got Bethesda, which is now Microsoft exclusive games, which is cool, I guess.
Yep. My Doom holders.
Yep.
But I mean, they failed me with Doom Eternals. I'm sorry. I'm just
I didn't understand it. Like I couldn't get behind it. I didn't know if it was a reboot. I didn't know if it was a continuation. I didn't know what was going on.
like I feel like there is a Doom. There is a I don't know if it's a huge, but I mean like there is a really tight knit Doom community out there. And we love our Dooms, but I mean the first three Dooms. I mean the first one came out when I was born in '93, and then '94 was Doom 2. But I mean, like I said, Wolfenstein 3D introduced first person shooters.
Yes.
Doom took it to a whole nother level. And then
Right.
Doom 2 brought it to another because then they added, certain lighting elements and color
Yep.
and shadows
Graphics wise, it was
that
beautiful.
hadn't been done before, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, okay. And then, Doom 3, because I think then it went, I think it was like 8 years, I think.
Yeah,
Or
Doom
no, I
3
think
was
it
on
was 10 years.
Xbox. Xbox, the original Xbox is the first system it was
I
on,
think it was like
besides
oh
PC.
04, oh 04, oh 05. It was like mid 2000s, I think, when Doom.
Uh, '03 or '04, I think.
And I got it, and I had it. I ended up getting it for my PC at the time, and oh my god, it was so good.
Still an amazing game to this day. To this day,
Yes,
it's still graphics wise
yes.
still fits in
I
to
I
this
have
day.
bought into the Doom franchise on everything I've ever owned.
Yeah.
My PlayStations, like my Xbox 360 when I had it at one point, my PC, my laptop. I mean, I have Doom with me all the time.
It's just good.
Yeah,
It's just a
dude,
good
because I love
series.
playing the old ones because it's just basically getting through. Do you remember where all the collectibles are? And
Yep.
when you play Doom as much as I have, you do it. It's just how fast can I get through it now.
Right.
But I mean, Doom 3 is one I cherish that. But when they did the reboot, was it 2016? That was perfect because they literally brought
Yeah.
the
That's
'90s Doom to
yeah.
this era,
I
and
agree with that. It
it
was
was
good.
perfect.
Well,
But
it wasn't perfect, but it was good. I give it that. But because it didn't have the
perfect,
atmosphere I was looking for from Doom 3. Like if it had that atmosphere and that tensity, and then it transitioned to that fast-paced action gameplay they had, then I think they would have had a 10 out of 10 Doom game. But
no, I get with you on that
they
one.
were
Yeah,
missing the atmosphere, and they had the gameplay tight, like perfect gameplay. But that's the
yeah,
only thing.
but like with them, whatever they were going with internals, I was just like,
That's what I didn't get. Like I didn't understand. Was this a sequel to the
I mean,
2018 one,
I
or is
mean,
this a
dude,
remake?
do they end up withholding, Evil Within, because that's a Bethesda game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah.
And
Tango
it's
Softworks, which is a
the
subsidiary
the
of
first game
Bethesda.
the first game was really good. I was like, okay, it was during that really good horror era that we had going
Mhm,
on. And then the two came out, and I was like, oh, okay, this is crazy. Like they still got it, and
mhm.
now it's like, well, now they got bought up, and it's like,
Yeah,
well,
now we
are
don't
you
know if they're gonna do another one.
are you keeping it exclusive or you're not? Like I said, you know, exclusive games. I'm just
I
like,
think I think after this last game, Tokyo whatever, Ghost whatever, their last deal they have with Sony, then I think it's all straight to Xbox and PC. And Microsoft already said they've already made their money back double from Bethesda already from the buyout. So they've already made profit.
I just want to give a quick shout out. It's a PC exclusive, but a new Age of Empires.
They do Empires. I'm not a
Yep.
huge fan, but I know you
I
are.
mean,
So
I know some people don't know, but if we have anyone out there that's small fan, I am a huge fan, and I'm excited. I can't wait. Do they actually do new? I was like, I'm already in. I'm already in. You don't have to say no more. All you had to say was just a new Age of Empires. I was like, I'm sold. So I'm super excited. I'm hoping. I mean, I don't think you could do Age of Empires wrong. So,
all right,
but they'll be able to add more variants. Different. More dense population, a lot more expanded horizons. There'll be a lot
right,
more depth in the game now instead of having just black in all your areas.
all
So
right. So
I can't wait. Excited.
we're gonna wrap it up here. Is there any shout outs you want to give? Any Yancey podcast shout outs or anything coming up you want to let people know about?
Yes, with hopefully here real soon, I will have an update video going to Yancey's podcast on YouTube, going what I'm going to be doing for there on out, and I have a schedule plan, and then also I have something going out to Nike Y43's channel, which is what I do on my gaming. So I have a universe set up with in the UFC doing fighting. So I'm excited.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. Check out those two channels. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share there. Also, while you're here and watching this, make sure you like, subscribe, and share here as well. Watching Dorkston, keep it right here. I've been your host, Ghost, joined with.
Nike Y43.
You guys have an awesome day. Adios.
See ya.